Canzelinos are among the lucky ones. They've just managed to close a deal on a new house after losing out time and time again.
We were in a couple of bidding wars, which we were outbid, so it's frustrating.
Now getting set to sell their home, the family and the realtor are hoping to reap the rewards of a hot market.
In Vaughan right now, this house that we're listing tomorrow actually is in a very, very busy area that we're seeing average price increases of 15–20% for the exact same house on a year-over-year basis.
But when looking for their new home, the Canzelinos noticed who they were competing against.
The competition, there was a lot of foreign buyers, we felt, and in most cases they got the highest bid.
Their realtor may think Vancouver's new tax won't impact this market.
When people are buying on speculation over there and having absentee owners, it's a little bit different than the market here, just from proximity to overseas.
But don't tell that to the Canzelinos, who, despite paying sky-high prices now, think it will soon be much worse.
Oh, I think it's going to get even more crazy if possible, because they may come here to avoid paying that extra 15%. So I think we got in just in the nick of time, actually.
So that begs the question, do we need the same kind of tax in Toronto? The Ontario provincial government will only say it will monitor what happens in British Columbia. So is foreign ownership a big driver of Toronto's market? Part of the problem is we don't really know. The most recent stats in 2015 show 3.3% of Toronto's condos were foreign owned. But the 2016 federal budget has now pledged $500,000 to further study who actually is buying Canadian real estate. So will the new 15% tax in Vancouver mean a further surge in Toronto home prices? Phil Soper, CEO of Royal LePage, joins me now. And Phil, what's your prediction?
I think that's highly unlikely. People who are buying these homes, they choose a city for a reason. Toronto gets lots and lots of interest from foreign buyers from around the world. I doubt there's going to be a large resettlement of people to Toronto. Remember, Vancouver prices are almost double Toronto prices today.
But if you can chop off 15% in tax, and that's a foreign investment, a place to park your money in Canada, is that money not going to come here?
Remember, people aren't really doing this first for investment. What they're doing it is because they want to live here for some reason. They're either planning to immigrate, they have a business here, or potentially they have a child who's going to university here. There's better places to invest money than simply sticking it in a single family home across the ocean.
A lot of controversy over the move that Vancouver is making. Do you believe that that will help that city with its affordability?
Well, it's interesting. We're already starting to see the market there cool. So while politicians may well take credit for this, this alone, no. It's too small a part of the market, and it's the part of the market, the luxury homes, where price is less of an issue. It's an egregious tax, a very, very, very expensive tax, but I don't think it'll meet their purposes.
The Ontario Finance Minister is saying only that he'll look at what happens in Vancouver. Do we need something like that here?
No, there are broad-based measures that don't target a single special community or ethnic group that I think are much more equitable and will do well for the long term. One of the challenges with the BC approach is it works when China, for example, is at an economic peak. But what happens when they go through their normal cycle and there's less of them to come and that 15% tax is still sitting there? I think there's better approaches.
Phil Soper, CEO of Royal LePage, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.